Hello, folks. This is the Chad Factor reporting to you live. It has been a long time since I've done a video. I wanted to talk to you about a trip I just made last week. And this is a very late video that I've been trying to make for a while, but I've been busy. I moved someplace and now I'm about to move again this upcoming afternoon in 12 hours. So I'm moving at noon exactly, and it's midnight Eastern. But I want to talk to you about my trip to Charleston, South Carolina. It was my very first time in Charleston, South Carolina, and I was with one of my colleagues, Kevin, who was my co-host on the Chad Factor. We might relaunch a show called The Risk Factor in the future. But it was a very good experience. The food was good. The sights were good. We took a visit to Sullivan's Island. We took a visit to Bill Simmons' house. We took a visit to a lot of historical sites, and I just wanted to share some of that with you today. And even though it was raining, it was just pouring down, and there were puddles of water all around the place, because if you're on lower land and it's low elevation, then they tend to, the water tends to rise higher. But nonetheless, we had a very pleasant experience today because I was originally going to Charlotte and just Monroe, North Carolina, but we decided to just take a visit to Charleston to see the sights because I'd never seen it before. And it was only about like a 3-hour trip there, then a 5-hour trip back to my neck of the woods in Georgia. But I enjoyed this. The food was good. We could have had better service there, but the food was delicious. It had fish and shrimp. We basically started our tour of Charleston going to a man named Bill Simmons' house. And he was a man who made his own tools and built a lot of the gates that was in Charleston, South Carolina. He was a builder and a tradesman. He has been with numerous famous people. He's built numerous things, and he's a great man with his hands. He built his own shop. He lived in the same house till his death when he was 88 years old. He's a very unique individual. Very unique. And he should be praised all among us in the community, but a lot of people don't know about him. But a lot of the gates that we see in Charleston, not just Charleston, a lot of the gates that were built in America, they learned how to build, and even outside of America, they learned how to build some of these gates and use his gates in other countries because it was so good. And I didn't know about this man. This is the first time I've known about this man, and it was just great. We had a lady there that was telling us about the history, telling us about what he's done, the material he's made. There were original gates that were there, and they're still selling those for like $5,000 a piece for every little gate that's about this big. But it's crazy. It's crazy good money, And we saw his bedroom. We saw his workroom. We were about to take a tour of his work shed, but it was raining, so we couldn't do that, but it was still a great experience. We had a look at some Civil War history. Like I said, we went to Sullivan's Island and then another place. I forgot what it was called, but we went to another fort, and they had the stuff that was talking about the war. We saw this giant American flag that was showing when they were first starting. We saw the succession of South Carolina, why they succeeded. That was a very pleasant experience to see how that was. And then we went to Sullivan's Island. That's when we went to another fort. And then we went inside. It was like a tomb. It was like, if you ever look in world history, if you look inside these forts at Sullivan's Island, it looks like a freaking tomb, like in Egypt or somewhere in another country. But it was crazy. It was awesome. And if I can, I might get some pictures on Facebook so you can just see how crazy this place is. you know, and inside and then out, and then when you get inside, like the outside of the fort, like you go inside it like it's a tomb, and you have to navigate. Then you go a little outside, go outside to the main area of the fort. There were these cannons that were this big, and cannonballs that were about the size of my head, if not bigger. And they used this when they were fighting wars and defending themselves. You know, and it's just some great history, some great, you know, Civil War history, man. It was just a great experience overall, man. And then the people in Charleston are nice. We even saw the site where we saw Vasey's house. He was a slave that escaped. I can't pronounce his name, but he was a slave in South Carolina that escaped, and we went to his house, and it was around the same place. We also took a look at where the Charleston, where Dylan Roof came into church and slaughtered. Now, I still say it's some MK Ultra stuff. I still think there's other things involved, but that's where Dylan Roof killed the 9 patrons in the black church, right next to the man who fought for his freedom. We went right next to his house, and I believe someone was renting that house, and that's why we couldn't go inside that. But overall, Charleston, South Carolina has some rich history to go to. I recommend anyone going out there to see Sullivan's Island, to see Ben Simmons' house, to see all these historical sites and monuments. It's just so crazy, dude. It's so good. And the people there are nice. The food is good. The places look good. But just understand something. If you want to move to Charleston and you want to move to Sullivan's Island where they have the actual sites, it's expensive. Like, we were looking over there and it was like $1,000 to $4,000 to rent an apartment. I tell you, man, they getting these places gentrified, you know, preppy. It's just crazy expensive in some of these places. Like, I've been to Martha's Vineyard, and that's how expensive they are up there. Like $1,000 to $4,000, $5,000. It's about the same in Charleston, South Carolina. Like, because I've been to Martha's Vineyard before, but like, that's crazy, man. But other than that, I mean, Charleston's not that expensive. If you go to certain areas to go into, you know, you can't miss it. I recommend anyone going there if they want some good advice. But I just wanted to give a shout out to Kevin for taking me out there. We went with him and his 2 sons, and it was a great experience. But that's my video review of Charleston, South Carolina. Rate, comment, and subscribe. Until next time, I'll be back. Peace out, people.